People often describe Scorpio as the most intense sign of the zodiac, passionate, loyal, deeply emotional. The kind of person who feels everything at a depth most people never quite reach and never quite forget. And if you've ever been close to a Scorpio, you've felt it. That connection, that pull. The sense that this person is actually seeing you, not the version of you that you present, but the one underneath it. When Scorpio gives you their trust, it feels like something rare, because it is. But there is another side to Scorpio that people only discover when something goes wrong. Because when a Scorpio is truly done with you, the shift doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with a confrontation or an explanation. It arrives as silence. The warmth that once felt permanent simply stops. The emotional openness that defined the connection becomes a wall you didn't see being built. And one day you reach for the version of them that once felt so close, and find that they are simply no longer there. For people who don't understand Scorpio, this moment can feel like a shock. Because Scorpio doesn't explain. They don't stage an exit. They just close the door and lock it from the inside. To understand why, you have to understand how Scorpio forms bonds in the first place. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation, of what lies buried, of truth that refuses to stay hidden. This gives Scorpio something most people underestimate, an almost automatic instinct for reading beneath the surface of relationships. They notice when your words and your actions don't line up. They notice the shift in your tone before you've registered it yourself. They notice what you reveal in unguarded moments, and they remember it. And because Scorpio invests so completely in the people they choose, these observations are not casual, they matter. A Scorpio doesn't open their emotional world impulsively. When they let you in, it means they have been watching. Studying the way you treat people when no one important is looking. Noticing how you behave under pressure. Quietly deciding whether who you appear to be matches who you actually are. When Scorpio trusts you, it is never an accident. It is a conclusion they arrived at carefully. Which is exactly why breaking that trust doesn't just sting. It lands at a depth most people don't expect. Not because Scorpio is fragile, but because what they gave you was real. And they knew the risk when they gave it. When trust starts to fracture, Scorpio doesn't react immediately. They observe. They watch the pattern play out a second time. A third. They give the relationship room to show them what it truly is. And this quiet observation, this patient, internal watching, is where many relationships with Scorpio either deepen into something unshakable or begin their slow fade. Because Scorpio believes in patterns. One incident can be a misunderstanding. 2 can be a coincidence. 3 is a truth they are now choosing to accept. And once that truth settles inside them, something changes. Not dramatically. Scorpio rarely erupts. Instead, the warmth begins to recede. The vulnerability they once offered freely becomes something they quietly reclaim. Conversations that once felt alive become shorter, more surface level, more careful. And the people around Scorpio begin to feel it, this new distance, without being able to name exactly when it started. This is the moment people describe as Scorpio cutting someone off. But that description misses something important. Because Scorpio does not cut people off on impulse. What actually happens is slower, more considered, more quietly devastating. By the time Scorpio goes cold, they've usually already given the relationship far more chances than they ever let on. They don't announce the test. They don't tell you how many times they almost walked away before they actually did. They just watch and wait and hope they are wrong. And when the hope finally runs out, when the pattern finally confirms what they suspected, they detach, completely, not out of cruelty, not out of revenge, but because Scorpio understands something that takes most people years to learn. Once emotional trust is broken at a certain depth, continuing to force the connection doesn't repair it. It only extends the damage. And Scorpio would rather protect what remains of their emotional truth than perform a connection that has already died. This is why when Scorpio is done, they move forward quietly. No closing argument. No conversation designed to loop back around. No dramatic final moment. They simply redirect. Their energy, their attention, their emotional investment. All of it turns away from you and towards something that feels real again. And to the person on the other side of that door, it can feel almost impossible to understand. Because the connection was so intense. Because the loyalty felt so solid. Because nothing that real is supposed to just stop. But Scorpio's depth has always been conditional on one thing. Truth. When the truth of a relationship changes, when the foundation of who they believed you were shifts beneath them, their loyalty does not stay fixed to an illusion. It moves with reality. And once Scorpio has accepted that a connection no longer belongs in their life, returning to it is not simple. Not impossible. But not simple. If they ever do come back, it isn't because enough time passed. It isn't because the apology sounded convincing. It is because something genuine transformed. Something at the level of the foundation, not just the surface. Because transformation is the language Scorpio understands best. It is, after all, the language of Pluto. If you have ever experienced this side of Scorpio, you already understand something that many people spend years trying to figure out. Scorpio's loyalty is not unconditional. It is something they extend with full awareness of what it cost. And when that loyalty is gone, when the door closes and the lock turns, what they are protecting is not a grudge. It is the standard they set for what love and trust are supposed to feel like. If you are a Scorpio, or if you have ever loved one, leave a comment below. What do people most consistently misunderstand about Scorpio? And if you want to explore the deeper psychology behind every zodiac sign, subscribe to Druidshaven. Because the most powerful truths about people are rarely the ones they announce. They are the ones revealed in the quiet moment, when someone finally decides who is worth staying for.